Hi there, and welcome back to the History of Fleetwood Mac. I'm Anita. Today we are going to continue Volume 15, Episode 11 of my Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac scrapbooks. And I think I'm going to probably tie this volume up with these pages. And depending on how long I talk will depend if this is going to be one or two episodes. It's probably going to be one, but I say that and then I'll start talking, going off on a tangent, and then who the hell knows. So really, you guys kind of got the story you've gotten the story if you've been following along of me and going to shows and really, after befriending Dawn, learning that going to other shows in different places to see shows was just really like eye-opening and completely opened my world of Stevie shows and Stevie moments. And this was no exception. This was, if I thought the Andre Agassi thing and the second night at the Enchanted tour, on top of seeing, Tango in the Night and Other Side of the Mirror and going on from there, was amazing. This was pretty amazing. Now, much like other videos that I've talked about, I need not remind you how old I am. I'm here, there's like young, and then there's on this side, so that's where I'm at. I don't remember much. Okay. I have a lot that I do remember, but physically the show, this much, just really this much. And you know what it is? It's so weird. A lot of people are like, be present at shows, don't take photos and stuff like that. Well, this is still a time when you really couldn't take a camera. And of course I did. And I have these pictures from the show that you'll see, which are freaking amazing in my opinion. And you'll see why when I tell you later. But it's still kind of nerve wracking to take a camera in. There were times when we'd try and record shows, like I would help people try and record them, or I would try and record them myself. And I think I did that twice before I said, no, that's definitely not being present enough when you're just mortified of being caught on that, let alone a camera. And this one was another trip to Los Angeles, not Vegas or anything like that. So Los Angeles, so not too far away. And I think I've told you guys about a person that I was kind of debating on how much to tell about this or show. But there was a gentleman who owned, now I just forgot the name of the store, Star World in Los Angeles. And Dawn and him were friends, and he and I were friends too because I would go buy from him a lot, but really not like he didn't know me. I didn't know him really that well. I know I'd met him before and visited with him before as a Stevie Nicks fan and purchasing from him. But Dawn knew him pretty well. And then when Dawn and I weren't really in touch anymore, and I had found another friend who will come later in 2003 onward, I really got to know him really well. But when we went down for the Pondering the Millennium show, I don't know how it worked out, but somehow Dawn and the gentleman who owned the shop allowed us to stay at his house. And he had a really amazing house, like up in the Hollywood Hills. And he had a neighbor. I can't remember who the neighbor was, but, celebrity, because that's, when you have those beautiful houses up in the Hollywood Hills, I mean, that's who lives there. Those are your neighbors. And it was really, it was freaking amazing. I mean, it was just so cool. It was so cool to go there. It was so cool to be in this person's home and just kind of have that lifestyle and that extravagance. And, I wasn't there wishing like, oh, I wish I could live like this. And I'm living, large and stuff like that. It was a fun experience. It was amazing to be there. I was beginning to develop migraines, which I deal with on a regular basis. And I experienced in the early years around this time, I was experiencing them tenfold, actually in 2000 onward. 2000, I graduated college. And, during that time that I was in college and here at this, my migraines were just insane. And I know that I had one when we got there. And I can't recall if by the time we got to Dave's house that I think I just wasn't feeling well. And I opted to stay. He always had plans and always had stuff going because he lives in Hollywood and he owns that shop. He knew what was going on. He used to be a little bit of a paparazzi person, not an annoying, chasing him down kind of person, but in his old shop, back before it got modernized. And I say that from the last visit I went 2 years ago, he just would run into all sorts of people. And I remember, we talked to him a lot about having met Stevie, how we got to shop together, how he got the shop together for himself in the business and things that he did and such. And that was from taking photos and selling them and such, but never anything really, to my knowledge and to our time speaking to him, nothing really obnoxious, following them and just being just in their face and just BS, like TMZ or something like that. But we got to his house, and I'm going to kind of start backwards with stuff. And I think that night I just was not feeling well. And I think he said that he had tickets to go see Berlin, the band Berlin. And Dawn is a huge fan. I'm a big fan too, but Dawn had seen Terry Nunn, I think solo before, possibly with Berlin, I can't recall. And I just did not feel good. And I will forever regret that because I've never seen them live. And that would have been amazing. And he had tickets or a way in or something like that. And we did not go. And then I don't remember if it was on this trip or another trip. I'm pretty sure it was on this trip. He had tickets to Rock and Bowl, which was an MTV filmed kind of deal, and there's a whole bunch of celebrities. The band Orgy, I don't know if you remember the band Orgy. So this, I'm pretty sure this is right because this was right about the time they were popular. And I remember literally walking into Jennifer Love Hewitt at that place. There was just a whole bunch of, kind of small time celebrities. Orgy was a pretty big band at the time, but I just remember walking into her and just saying, "Excuse me," and she just kind of looked at me and I have a little bit of an attitude. So I'm like, or not, because I felt really bad. I'm just looking down and kind of looking around at stuff. And it's just kind of funny. So we went to that. That was kind of fun. We kind of hung out there. And then he's just the kind of guy who would like drive you around to LA and be like, "Oh, that's so-and-so. And if you look over here, and if you, like a tour guide, if you look to your left, if you look to your right, So anyway, this is his house. I tried not to be too invasive of his home, but this is a view. This is like a whole circular, I don't even know if he lives there. I'm sure that he's the kind of person who's had this redesigned like 50 times since. And I know that he's had things filmed there, and I cannot go into what has been filmed there, but some things have been filmed there. So I don't think this is, invasion of privacy or anything. And plus, I couldn't tell you the address to save my life. But this is a whole, like a little sitting couch area. And then that's behind this massive fireplace right here, pool table. And it was absolutely amazing. It was just so nice and so much fun to be in that home. And the kind of a center focal piece that he had on one of his walls was this hand drawn by Christine McVie, lyrics to, what is it again? Yeah, "You Make Living Fun." And it's really hard to see, but down here, right? Is that there where it's at? Yeah, it's really hard to make out, but right there you can see it signed by her. Kind of tilt it right. One of the most beautiful pieces I've ever seen. Her artwork, her drawing, then she kind of shaded it all in and stuff like that. And that was an original piece. It was quite large. It was a really large piece, just freaking beautiful. And I just, remember asking him permission and just thinking to myself, God, if I could just take home one thing, it would be this item. This is kind of right here, this window right here, the house. And then this was Dawn and I for night. This is night one. This is how her and I dressed. I just showed you that dress in another video. Somehow I don't look quite as large in it at this moment, which is a freaking miracle. So that was just me dressed for night one of Pondering the Millennium, because we went the 28th and 29th at the House of Blues in Los Angeles. And this was me dressed up for night two. And my best friend in New York, she made me this shawl. I mean, this cape, velvet cape, which I still have and love and don't get to wear often, but I freaking love it. And so, yeah, that's what we went to. So that was that. And then again, kind of starting backwards, I think I will save the other photos for another video, so I'm not going on too long. But just to give you kind of an insight, this was some of the pictures. This was a picture that I took. Now, again, back in the day when you were taking cameras in, how grateful were you when you got pictures? To this day, though, we have modern cameras and we have, digital, so you can see the pictures right away and delete what you don't like or whatever like that. But imagine my surprise when I got those developed and something that great, and that's not even the best part, came out. I mean, even though the microphone is in her face, it was still, just absolutely amazing. Because this was most of the shots that I was getting. The red eye, the horns, come on, people. And then somebody's ear and head are here. Just Stevie and Sharon. And then these pictures, which I'll bring back up in the second video a little bit more, were some of the band. These were taken off the Nick Sticks. And they were just pictures of the band being there and stuff like that. But I have a little bit more to the story. And then this little article here says that Stevie Nicks at the House of Blues on Tuesday, Wednesday, December 28th and 29th. That big breathy sound you've been hearing lately is the collective sighs from all the Fleetwood Mac Nicks fans out there rapturously considering the chance to see their witchy homegirl in non-arena surroundings. Stevie is swirling and twirling into the House of Blues for a 2-segment series of shows that should have the faithful furiously scrambling for tickets. Nix's upcoming album, Trouble in Shangri-La, may be a two-headed affair with tracks produced by good friends Sheryl Crow and TLC Madonna Wonder Kid helmsman Dallas Austin. One would assume we might get a preview, but regardless, this gold dust woman should cast a spell on the tin-sided venue that may leave it heretofore known as the House of Nix. And considering the timing of the whole thing, you may want to start giving credence to this whole millennial nonsense. Y2 Nix, indeed, also at the House of Blues, January 3rd and 4th. And then the set list. Now, what I can recall about the show was I got to hear Rooms on Fire. Now, I love that song. I won't say it was my favorite live, but I was thrilled to hear it live. But what I was really thrilled to hear live was Golden Braid. That one just, you see the Belladonna video, if you grew up listening to that, and since you see that video, then you just, you're like gobsmacked to hear that, because that's just what you think about. Or maybe that's me. That's what I think about. And having watched that video so often over the years, to hear that song live just really hit home. But Rooms on Fire did make a difference to me because, again, I had gotten into her. I remember being Other Side of the Mirror being like the first album where I was fully into the band, and I had not heard that album, or I was into Stevie. And so, hearing that, and, I don't remember, and then I've told you in old videos, I don't really remember Rock a Little coming out. I was alive and into them and into Stevie completely, but I was just a little bit older and going to more record stores by this time and understanding hype and like, oh, a release date and such like that, instead of just walking in one day and being like, oh my God, there's a record I don't have. So it was really kind of neat to have that. But if you could read the whole set list, it was Outside the Rain, Dreams, Enchanted, which was, again, hot off the heels of the, Enchanted Is. So hearing that live was amazing. We had already, but it was still really cool. Goldust Woman, Golden Braid, Rooms on Fire, Stand Back, Rhiannon, Whole Lot of Trouble, also fun to hear live. Landslide, Edge of 17, I Need to Know, and Has Anyone Ever Written Anything for You? Now, on her 31st show, which was in Orlando or something like that, she had the full-on New Year's show. She sang Auld Lang Syne. Is that how you say it? The famous New Year's Eve song. I'm not sure how to say that. There is video of that somewhere out there, and it's pretty cool. And also, what I do recall is that when she mentions her show on the 3rd and 4th of January, by this time, at some point, she had been in Vegas and she had broken her foot. And so it was kind of from here on out, from 2000 onward, or 99, 2000 onward, I guess 2000, that she started wearing, the sneakers, the kind of, Frankenbox, as some people were calling them. Horrible, but kind of funny, for a period of time. And, again, when I mentioned from those Enchanted pictures, remembering that she's wearing the red boots and the tan boots and the red shawl and stuff like that, I think it was, for me, probably until... It was a while before I recall seeing her wearing the boots again. I know she did, obviously. But it just seems to me like, all through Say You Will, there's 2003, 2004. It was a while before she put her beautiful, what are they, Maya boots back on. Not that I'm sure they'll probably are the same ones, but I don't know. But anyway, so that is part one of the Pondering the Millennium. And the second one is just going to be a little bit more stories about the band. Not quite as detailed and yucky, I apologize, but lots more pictures. So thank you so much for joining me, and come back next time for the rest of it. Everybody have a great night. Bye.